Hi, in this video let us see how to create and launch an Amazon EC2 instance and log into it using putty. So first thing is you will have to log in into your Amazon console. So I have already logged in into my console. So the next thing you have to do is to select your region of your choice. I have selected Singapore since it's closest to me. Next you will have to go to Services, Compute, EC2. So EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud, and it's nothing but Amazon's high performance server. So let's try to see how to launch an instance. Okay, so the first step is to choose an Amazon machine image. So let's choose an Amazon Linux AMI. You could choose to select any of the AMIs available. So for this tutorial, let's select this. Okay, so since I have a free tier account, only this instance should be free tier eligible, that is T2 micro. So if you see this has 1 GB RAM and it has an 8 GB memory SSD. Okay, so in the next step you can just leave all these things defaults, the network, that is the VPC, and this should be defaulted, but in my case I am going to select this, and you can just check if this subnet setting is enabled for us to auto assign an IP, and I think that is it. So let's go to the add storage section. So here you will have to select the GB required for your EBS volume. So I think in free tier there is 30 GB limit of SSD available. So I'm going to choose 8 GB for this. Next, so here this is just an optional one. Just add a name and the value as you have to give your website. Just say my website. Go to the next. Okay, so you could either try to create a new security group, or I already have a security group. So let's see what is the setting of this. So you will have to enable HTTP, SSH, because you need to log in via putty through SSH, and HTTPS. Since my website is an HTTPS, if you want to secure it, you can enable HTTPS. Next, you can just review all the settings you have selected previously and launch. So while launching here, it asks for an existing key pair or a new key pair. So let's create a new key pair. You could give any name here, my website key pair, let's say, and please don't forget to download this key pair because this is very important for you to log in via putty. Okay, so it seems like I have already downloaded key pair. So let's try to launch this instance. Okay, so it should take some time while the instance is getting launched. Right. So you could see my website that we just created, it's in running state and it is initializing. So let's give it a couple of minutes. So in the meantime, you could just go to Google and try to download the latest release of putty and putty keygen. So I'll let you know why you need putty and putty keygen. So putty is required, it's a SSH and telnet client, and putty keygen is a key generator. Let's see what was this file which got downloaded. So if you go to your downloads, let me put it in. So you can see it's a .pem file, but putty requires a .ppk file for login. So you will have to download the respective putty.exe and puttygen.exe file according to your operating system. Okay, so I have downloaded putty already. So let's see how to configure it. So before this, let's give another check on our instance. Okay, so it is still initializing. Let's go to our let's search for putty. Okay, so you will have to load the previously downloaded PEM file. So if you notice, you can't select it because it is looking for a PPK file. So let's change it to all files, then come back here and see it's there, my website keepware.pem. Open it. You should get an alert box like this saying it successfully imported the private key, right? So we just want to save the private key. If you try to save it, you will get a warning saying that there is no passphrase. So for the time being, I'm not going to protect it using a passphrase. So let's continue. So I'm just going to give a name for this. You can choose the earlier name, but the format is going to be PPK file. So let's save this file. So once it is saved, let's go back to that folder and see the putty private key is saved. Right? So let's come back to our EC2 and see what's happening. So if you see, you can see that my website EC2 instance is up and running. Right? So you can always see that there is a public IP available. Let's copy that and let me try to ping that IP to see if it is reachable. Yes, I think we are getting reply. Yes, it's reachable. So one more thing, if you want, you might want to do for your website is you want to create an elastic IP. Let's try to associate an address. Select the instance here which we created, my website. Select a private key, which should come up, private IP, sorry, should come up automatically. And try to associate. Yeah, I think here you will have to allocate a new address. Right. So now we have requested a new elastic IP address, and let's try to associate the newly created elastic IP address. The previous one is already being used. That is why we got the error. So let's try to associate address. Select your instance. In the private IP you see, try to associate. Yeah, so this time it is succeeded. Okay, so let's see what change it makes to our instance. So we just associated our instance to an elastic IP. So this makes sure that we always have a public IP available, and so that your EC2 instance is always accessible. Right? So now this is your public IP. So let's try to use this and log in into it, that is SSH into it using putty. Let's open putty. Right? So you will have to log in into it using EC2-user at followed by your IP address. Right? And then you have to go to SSH auth and browse the private key that we just created, that is the .ppk file. Then we will just increase the font, and you could just give your name, let's say my website, and save it. Okay, now you see that it is already saved. Let's try to open this. It's not cached in the registry. Yes. Okay, now you can see it is successfully logged in. So once you are logged in, first thing you would want to do is sudo update. Yum is the package manager, so you want to update the package manager. Yes. Okay, so now you have logged into this EC2 and you are able to do updates and whatever you can do over here. Okay, now that we are able to log in into our newly created EC2 instance, let's see how to install WordPress onto this EC2 instance. So if I go back here, so there is a tutorial given by Amazon, that is hosting a WordPress blog within your Amazon Linux. So if you see the prerequisites, you'll just have to install a web server onto this. The steps are nicely given over here. You just have to blindly follow all these steps. Just skip all the optional steps, like for this, that we will do it later, like securing your web server and all those things, right? So once the prerequisites have been installed, you could just go and install WordPress onto your website and do some MySQL database related entries. All the commands are given over here nicely, and you should be able to do it yourself. So I will be skipping this part, and let's move to what happens once you have your WordPress installed. So if you go to that should be okay. I think here we have not installed WordPress, so let me go back to my site EC2 and let's see. Right, so if you come to this folder, you should be able to see the WordPress related files. That means your WordPress has been successfully installed and it is moved to your web server, right? So this is done. So let's see what is the next step. So you will have to go to your domain provider. In my case, I have purchased this domain using GoDaddy. Try to expand this domain, manage DNS, and the only thing you will have to edit here is you just have to edit this entry, which is type A, name is @ the value here should be your EC2 elastic IP which you have created. So in my case, I have given my elastic IP, so you could verify that. So once these changes are done, you should be able to hit your website and it should redirect to a page. So let's see that. So once you do that, if you go to your CMD, try to ping your website name, so you should get a reply like this. This is as good as hitting your EC2 instance, the web server on the EC2 instance, and trying to do whatever you have installed. In our case, we have installed a WordPress site and you should be able to see your contents of the WordPress site. Yeah, I think this is the end of this video. Thank you.